Well, I hope you guys find what you're looking for in Alaska and get some boots on the ground and get a game plan together for over there.
We'll be fine. You're the one I'm worried about. Hopefully you can keep the rubber side down, Tyson.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
All right, I'll meet you down at the airstrip.
In a season where every ounce counts, Parker Schnabel just did the unthinkable. While his rivals wasted time chasing scraps, Parker uncovered a forgotten stretch of ground, long dismissed as worthless, and turned it into a $95 million jackpot. Outsmarting veterans like Tony Beats and Rick Ness, he proved once again that the kid from Haines isn't just lucky. He's rewriting the rules of gold mining. And if you think this haul was just a stroke of fortune, you'd be dead wrong. Parker planned every move, every cut, and every risk with ruthless precision. If you want the full story of how Parker blindsided his competition and walked away with the biggest score of his career, make sure to hit like and subscribe, because this is the gold rush no one saw coming. Parker steps onto ground, scorned for generations. Locals call it dead dirt, a graveyard where dreams and fortunes go to die. Tony Beats laughs at the claim, saying it's not worth the diesel to scratch it. Rick Ness mutters that it's a curse wrapped in gravel, a stretch of land that swallows equipment and leaves nothing behind. But Parker doesn't flinch. He runs his fingers across a century-old surveyor's map, tracing faded notations scrawled in the margins, notes that whisper of a channel lost beneath cave-ins and floods. Under his boots lie stories of miners who vanished in 1898, leaving only rusted pans and scraps of canvas tents as though swallowed whole by the Yukon itself. When the first machines roar to life, an unnatural stillness falls across the pit. Even the wind seems to hold its breath, waiting. Then, the excavator lurches forward, bucket teeth biting deep, until the hydraulics groan in protest. The machine shudders like it has struck bone instead of bedrock. Mechanics shout, "That's not permafrost." The sound echoes like a cannon blast, bouncing off the cut walls. Parker leaps down, boots crunching into unsettled soil, ears ringing with the metallic scrape. Dust rolls in clouds, thick and choking, until the obstruction begins to reveal itself. Not rock, not ice, but splintered timbers bound with rusted iron. The unmistakable frame of a tunnel no modern map acknowledges. A mine shaft, hidden beneath the earth for 100 years, sealed away by time and silence. Cautious buckets peel back more of the overburden. Gravel spills like spilled treasure, streaked with veins of quartz, flashing dull silver in the lamplight. Then, glint, gold, nuggets coarse and jagged, too sharp to have drifted far. These didn't travel miles downstream. They broke free from a source buried close, concealed under collapses and forgotten claims. Parker squats in the dirt, holding a pan alive with color. His rivals scoff from afar. Tony says it's a trick of luck, one hot pan and nothing more. But Parker knows better. This is no surface fluke. This is the signature of a hidden vein, a mother-lode fracture sealed away since the 19th century, waiting for the one miner bold enough or reckless enough to dig where no one else dared. And in the Yukon, news like that doesn't stay secret for long. Whispers of Parker's strike leak beyond campfires, morphing into wildfire. Soon the skies hum with machines that don't belong to him. Drones circling overhead, red lights blinking like watchful eyes in the night. Parker squints against the glare, jaw tightening, because he knows exactly whose eyes are watching. Tony Beats doesn't need to set foot on Parker's cut to know something big is happening. His drones hover, recording every move, feeding intel back to the king of the Klondike. Then Rick Ness storms in with his own brand of fury. He doesn't bother with secrecy, He spits it straight into cameras. Parker's discovery is no accident. He accuses him of sneaking into Dawson's locked archives, stealing maps forgotten in basement files. The rumor grows legs, racing across the Yukon in whispers and half-truths. By midweek, helicopters thrum above Parker's pit, their shadows sliding across the mud walls like vultures circling carrion. It isn't the press this time, it's investors, prospectors, land barons smelling blood in the water. Parker can hear them betting on him from the sky, as though his cut is a roulette wheel spinning gold dust. Online, forums erupt into war. Keyboard prospectors swear this is the lost Klondike jackpot, the mythical deposit that eluded everyone since 1898. Others insist Parker's staging the whole thing, pumping his ground with salted gravel to lure investors. But Parker himself, he says nothing. He doesn't dignify the noise with answers. His silence is strategy. His only response, the roar of machines chewing deeper into the earth, hour after hour, cut after cut. The louder the rumors get, the deeper he digs. Then the earth answers. The wash plant shakes as though possessed, bolts rattling loose, while mats clog with a torrent of gold no one believes possible. Crewmen rush to clear riffles, but their shovels bend under the weight of nuggets, pieces of metal so massive they clatter like boulders. Parker yells over the machinery, but his voice is swallowed by the chaos of floodlights bouncing off yellow metal. This isn't dust, this isn't flakes. These are nuggets bigger than fists, tumbling in heaps, the sluice box choking on wealth. One pan, one mat, one shift produces more than an entire rival crew manages in a season. The ground everyone mocked as cursed, barren, dead dirt. Its bleeding treasure like a vein cut wide open. A miner drops to his knees, staring at the pile under the floodlights. His voice cracks, trembling, as he whispers the truth none of them dare admit aloud. This isn't mining. This is robbery against the earth. Some of the crew laugh nervously, others glance into the shadows as though afraid the ground itself might rise up and reclaim what they've stolen. But the evidence keeps piling higher, a mountain of raw gold so blinding it silences even Parker's loudest critics. For once, even Tony Beat's booming commentary goes quiet. Rick Ness folds his arms, watching from the sidelines with clenched fists. No one has ever seen a strike like this. Not in the Yukon, not in Alaska, not in 100 years. And still, Parker runs the plant, feeding the beast, refusing to stop. When the clean-out is finally tallied, Parker calls in independent assessors to weigh the haul. It isn't enough for him to claim it. He wants proof, numbers no one can dispute. The scales groan under the burden, digital readouts blinking error before recalibrating. One by one, gold bars are stacked, dust swept into bags, nuggets sealed into cases. The men doing the measuring glance at each other, muttering under their breath, their faces pale under fluorescent lights. When the figure finally lands, it detonates like a bomb across the Yukon. $95 million. Not estimated, not projected. Real, counted, weighed. For a moment, Parker isn't Parker. The cocky grin that usually defines him is gone, replaced by a stunned quiet. He leans against the table, staring at numbers that feel too big, too impossible. His lips part just enough to release a whisper no camera was meant to catch. This changes everything. And it does. Not just for him, not just for his crew, but for every miner chasing a dream in the frozen north. Rivals don't take the news quietly. Accusations fly faster than the dust clouds from Parker's haul trucks. Tony Beats insists no one finds that much gold without hidden government surveys. Rick Ness swears Parker used detectors outlawed in Yukon claims, technology so advanced it borders on military grade. Online, conspiracy theorists spin even darker tales. Some swear Parker uncovered a sealed vault from the original Klondike Rush, an intentional stash miners buried before fleeing winter storms, never retrieved, lost for over a century until Parker's crew ripped it open. Others whisper that Parker struck a deal with shadowy investors long before the season started, men with secrets buried as deep as the motherlode itself. But rumors don't just linger online, they bleed into the dirt. Whispers turn into warnings, and warnings into action. Under the Yukon's bruised skies, the camp trembled, not just from the thunder overhead, but from the creeping paranoia eating through the crew. Hoses had been slashed like wounds in the dark, fuel tanks left bone dry, siphoned by unseen hands. The morning smell of diesel was replaced by something colder, the stink of sabotage. When Parker stormed into the yard, fists clenched, the crew didn't need him to say it. They already knew someone wanted them gone. The cameras told part of the story. Grainy night footage revealed silhouettes slipping between machines, their movements sharp, practiced, their faces hidden behind masks that caught the glint of moonlight. Whoever they weren't amateurs. And then the notes appeared. Scraps of paper pinned to doors, dropped into boots, scrawled with the same message: leave the claim or join the others who vanished. The weight of those words pressed heavy. Men remembered the legends, the miners from 1898 who disappeared without a trace, their camps abandoned mid-meal, gold pans frozen in streams. Now, standing knee-deep in mud with modern lights and million-dollar machines, Parker's crew felt the past clawing at them. Fears whispered in the bunkhouse, suspicions flared at the fuel pumps. Was it Tony, Rick, or something older than both? Still, Parker refused to bend. His eyes burned with the fury of a man who smelled victory just beneath the surface. If they want to scare us, he growled, let them try. We'll double production. We'll run harder. We'll bury them under the gold they wish was theirs. His defiance was gasoline on a fire, igniting the camp to push, even as they slept lighter, listening for footsteps in the dark. But then came the failures. Machines buckling under forces no wrench could explain. A fresh hydraulic line burst in seconds, spewing oil like blood. Bolts sheared clean through as if struck by an invisible hammer. A brand new engine seized and died, its internals locked solid, despite spotless inspection hours before. The men cursed bad luck, but when one operator swore he saw a lantern's glow swaying in the pit at midnight, whispers of the Yukon curse spread like wildfire. Old voices returned too. Elders from Dawson warned Parker face to face. That ground buried men before you. Don't awaken it. Their words weren't threats. They were warnings spoken with the quiet weight of prophecy. But Parker, stubborn as the earth itself, sneered at omens. History doesn't own me. I own it, he spat before climbing back into the cab. The harder he pushed, the stranger it grew. Every clean-out gleamed with impossible riches, nuggets clattering against steel like defiance itself. Yet with each haul, the shadows grew thicker. The men swore they heard breathing in empty corridors, voices muttering beneath the roar of pumps. Gold glittered in their hands, but it felt heavy, like it carried the memory of those who'd vanished chasing it before. Tension ripped the crew apart. In the mess tent, voices cracked into shouts. Half demanded to cash out, walk away with what they'd earned before the ground swallowed them too. The other half demanded they dig until the pit gave up its last ounce. no matter the cost. Knuckles slammed tables, fists swung, tempers bled into the dirt. The dream was fracturing into war within their own camp. Parker stood in the middle, his voice rising above the storm. "This is bigger than us," he thundered. "We're not just miners, we're rewriting the Yukon. 100 years from now, they'll tell our names." His words rallied some, but not all. Fear still coiled like a serpent in the dark corners of their minds. And as if the land itself heard their doubts, the skies opened. Lightning carved jagged veins across the clouds, striking dangerously close to the wash plant. Thunder rolled heavy enough to shake buckets from shelves. Rain hammered down, turning paths to rivers and pits to chasms. Each clean-out was now a gamble, not just against nature, but against whatever force haunted that claim. Gold poured out, but so did dread. One foreman, staring at the sluice as lightning lit his face, muttered words no one forgot. "This isn't gold mining anymore. This is war with the land." Yet even as storms tore at the ground, Parker's totals rose like floodwaters. Week after week, his tallies didn't just edge ahead. They buried every rival under a mountain of ounces. Tony Beats's crew worked double shifts, pushed machines until steel warped, but still couldn't touch him. Rick's men fought mud, frost, and dwindling morale, but their totals looked like crumbs beside Parker's feast. The whiteboard in Parker's office told the story. $95 million and climbing. The Klondike hadn't seen numbers like this since the frenzy of 1898, and now one kid stood at the center of it. Tony, the king of the Klondike himself, stood on his claim one evening, hands stained with grease, eyes locked on the horizon. Cameras caught him muttering under his breath, words heavy with reluctant respect. "The kid owns the Klondike now." For a man who built empires from dredges and hard bargains, the admission was a funeral bell, the passing of a crown. Rick fared worse. One late night, a lens found him at a roadside bar, a glass sweating in his hand. His voice, low and broken, spilled into the mic. "I should have taken that ground." The Yukon, brutal and merciless, doesn't hand out second chances, and Rick knew he'd gambled wrong. The world outside the tundra saw none of the blood, the sabotage, or the whispers of curses. They only saw Parker, the boy who turned mud into fortune. Social media crowned him with a title no miner had ever worn: the Klondike Emperor. Memes, fan pages, and headlines erupted, images of him drenched in mud beside wash plants, his name etched into the digital folklore of mining. For the first time in living memory, every rival in the Yukon fell silent. No one dared claim the season. It belonged to Parker, wholly and without question. And then the headlines broke through the frozen north like a rush of fire. Young miner strikes $95 million jackpot in Yukon. From Wall Street to Shanghai, from London to Sydney, the world wanted a piece of Parker's gold. Investors swarmed, emails flooding in, with promises of blank checks, joint ventures, and partnerships whispered in boardrooms Parker had never set foot in. He wasn't just a miner anymore. He was a commodity, a symbol of wealth, reborn from dirt. Mining journals debated feverishly. Had Parker tapped into the legendary Klondike motherlode, the fabled vein men had hunted and died for over a century? Some argued yes, pointing to the sheer weight of his totals. Others claimed his strike was proof of geological mysteries still buried beneath the Yukon's bones. And as academics descended, pale-faced and wide-eyed, they demanded samples, maps, and access, their clipboards clashing against a roar of excavators. The claim became a pilgrimage site, not just for miners, but for dreamers, documentarians, professors, investors, and fortune hunters. They came in planes, in trucks, even on foot, to glimpse the mud that had turned into a fortune. Parker, once a teenager chasing ounces with a rented crew, now carried the weight of history on his back. He wasn't just mining anymore. He was living myth. But with myth came madness. A new gold rush rippled across the Yukon, modern and frenzied. Prospectors swarmed the surrounding valleys, their tents popping up like scars against the tundra. Families with pans, corporate outfits with drills, wildcatters with nothing but shovels, each one convinced the earth would give them what it had given Parker. The land groaned under the invasion, rivers clouded with silt, hillsides scarred with trenches. Parker responded like a general. He bought up claims in every direction, tightening his grip until the map looked like a fortress built of deeds and signatures. He hired guards, expanded fences, and poured millions back into machines that dwarfed anything his rivals had. The empire had begun, and he knew it. Yet beneath the roar of engines and the applause of the world, whispers lingered. Men still remembered the sabotage, the cut hoses, the masked figures, the notes that promised death. The curse still breathed through the camp, its voice carried in broken machines, in strange lantern lights, flickering after dark. And in quiet moments, standing alone at the pit's edge, Parker felt it. Not fear, but the weight of something unresolved, like the earth was waiting, watching, holding secrets deeper than even $95 million could reach. He stood there one night, boots sinking into black mud, rain clinging to his jacket, and he spoke words not for the cameras, not for his crew, but for himself. This isn't just a jackpot. This is the beginning of a dynasty, and the Yukon won't forgive me for it.